Okay, so we can start. Cheryl, do you want to take notes? We're gonna make a move to rotate notes because Cheryl's been doing it for years. She's very good.
I will take minutes. Yes. So
okay.
I move that so we're starting the meeting at 7:39.
Okay. Is there a second?
But yeah, I move that
I second.
Thank you.
Well, so now that we've got more than 3 people, we actually have to take a vote because that's only 2 people, right? Before, when there was only 3 of us, a motion and a second was enough because it was 2 out of 3. But now we've got 4, so we technically,
okay.
Right?
So Susan.
So we should all like say aye, something.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Okay, good.
Aye. Aye, aye.
Well, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work. But anyway.
Thank you. We accept the minutes.
Do you want to move to accept the minutes? Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to introduce our newest member, Susan O'Shea Fugar.
Hey. Oh, my cat is like here with me. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
She's beautiful.
Thanks.
All righty.
So Susan, do you hyphenate or is it just two last names? So I can write
well, it's 2 last names. My husband wants me to put Fulgar first, and I want to have O'Shea first. So it's not officially either way yet.
Okay. I'm just trying to do it for the minutes. Okay.
Maybe we'll have to take a vote on that.
Yeah, we can vote on that.
Okay, so we'll start in. I have something to insert before. Well, it is starting the white plan, improvement plan discussion.
So we're discussing the white pond, the plan for the Pam pond. Is that what's the first agenda?
It is, but I'm going to insert something before it, but it's all related to. It is all according to or appropriate to the white pond improvement plan.
Okay.
So before we start discussing it, I want to say that Cheryl Bagan and Carmen Jacquier, me, are both abutters. And that's necessary to say because we are supposedly by the town affected by this plan. I have no financial expectations from this either way, and I don't know, Cheryl. Probably doesn't.
It will affect my property, you mean?
Well, yes.
Oh, I'm sure it'll affect everybody in the neighborhood, but who knows?
But you have no other gain planned by.
Oh, I'm not gaining anything. No.
No one's going to gain.
Oh,
anything.
Nobody's going to gain by it. No.
Yeah, you're going to get. I
misunderstood.
Lot.
Yeah, no. I mean, having more trees cut down and no, that absolutely not.
Okay, Thomas, don't print. So the big announcement is on December 16th. Sorry, December 16th is the next public forum. And
okay.
Details.
December 16th.
16th, yeah. So please mark that down and everybody, attend as much as you can. And I have to, and I'm going to read something because of things I was sent and spoken to about today. And this is in regard to emails and communications that have been going on. So I wrote this, so I'm just going to read it. All feel passionately about White Pond, its beach and hillside, and we all want the best outcome and to keep nature foremost. And that's fine. That's why we're meeting. And that's why there's been a very lively email exchange. But it is not fine to treat others involved with anything, stop it, stop, with anything other than courtesy. I'm sorry, I'll start that again. But it is not fine to treat others involved with anything other than courtesy and respect as you would want to be treated. Town officials work very hard for this town and its residents. And we owe the town officials the benefit of the doubt that their motives are coming from what they believe is best for the town. There's always room for agreement and disagreement. Everyone wants the best outcome. We all have different opinions. And as a famous football coach said, opinions are like noses. Everyone has one. And when we think we're discerning the motives of thoughts of others, we can be mistaken. And there's a quote, a favorite old quote of mine is, never say you know the full extent of another person's heart. That's Henry James. So I just wanted to put that out before we start. I have seen some, well, disagreeable kind of things that have been sent in the emails.
Yeah,
so
we
just want to keep it courteous.
I don't need to say anything.
Okay, now in regard to the public forum, I've made a request to Kate Hodges as soon as I heard this, that I wanted her to include the plans for maintenance of the hillside and the beach year round. We haven't heard anything about that. And what are they doing for
so
the—
I'm sorry, you spoke to, you made an, I'm sorry, what did you do?
I emailed to Kate Hodges when she sent me the announcement of the forum, that I wanted to have at least these two things included for sure to be addressed. And it is, what are the plans for the maintenance of the hillside and beach year round, the water quality and testing going forward, and to please have Weston and Sampson give an explanation of the catch basin and drainage system, why it is appropriate for this site, why it is better than the existing system.
Good. That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah. I think they talked a bit about it, but I don't really remember. Well, it's very technical, so they can do it.
I think it's a little bizarre because I think everybody is misinformed when it comes to the stormwater runoff. In my opinion, I've worked in this area for 30 years, and I think people have to realize White Pond is polluted. Okay, it's polluted. And the stormwater running down the paved road is much cleaner than the water in the pond. It's not even close. And it's just rainwater. It runs down a paved road. It goes in the pond. Sure, there's stuff mixed in, but the pond has bacteria. It's got toxins. It's got so much human waste in it. It's just ridiculous. So I'm going to bring that up in the meeting.
Okay, that'll be good to do. The ESS report showed that area though as their worst color.
For TSS, for total.
The ESS report showed the end of the Beach Road and Thoreau Cove and Sachem's End as the worst colors for pollution. Now Sachem's End with the erosion control is probably better now because ESS said that the main cause of pollution was runoff. That's
bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. That is just, I mean, Carmen, I've worked in this area all my life. There's huge denial when it comes to White Pond. It is so polluted and it's not, look at Walden Pond. It's clean, right? Walden's clean. Oh. And they have tons of stormwater runoff. I don't know why I'm getting into this tonight. I don't want to get into this.
Yeah, let's not get into it.
But Walden's clean and they have a dirt road instead of a paved road and the water runs right down and into the pond. Nobody cares because Walden's clean.
Okay. All right, we'll
Well,
bring
we
that
should,
up.
I mean, has everybody received the ESS report that was put out, whatever, 3-4 years ago? I mean,
I haven't received it, but I mean, you can't say the stormwater is causing the pollution in White Pond. That is just pure BS. That is complete BS.
Well, they're not saying that's causing the pollution. What they're mainly saying was that the runoff was carrying in the phosphorus, and that was
Where? From where?
Just from the land, from off the land, and
well,
that is, you know, what feeds the cyanobacteria.
No, I don't believe it, and I'll talk about it. It's a meeting if I have a chance, but there's no way. The water that comes down that road is just rain that hits the road. The fields up there do not. Actually, a high school did a big study. Peter Nickel.
I saw that.
Yeah, the fields don't run off down the road. It's just rainwater down the road. Maybe it's the side hills, but I would be really surprised if phosphorus is coming. It's all the septics. Everything's the septics. It's against the law. It's illegal. It's just ridiculous. This is the only pond in eastern Massachusetts that has septics on it. It's ridiculous.
Well, you can bring that on.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why that hit me today, but I just, whatever. Okay, let's go.
Well, bring it up during the forum, the public forum, and ask them about it.
So I have a question. It would be nice if we could actually have Weston and Sampson at one of these meetings. I mean, typically I know the town is presenting, but they're presenting what somebody else is presenting. You know, it's almost like, you know, hearsay evidence. You know, typically when you have an engineer present for a wetlands bylaw hearing or something like that, the engineer presents, so you can directly ask the engineers the question. And it would be nice if the homeowners, because all you're asking them about the engineers and they're telling you what they think, you know what I mean? It'd be nice for us to talk to the engineers and the engineers tell us, as opposed to hearing what somebody else has heard from the engineers.
I think they were here they were at the meeting, weren't they, Carmen?
Not at the last meeting.
They were not there? Oh, I thought they were.
The public forum.
They were at the public forum?
They were at the public forum, yeah, Weston and Sampson. They
were? Well, I came in late, so I didn't know. So did they answer questions direct? I didn't know that.
Yes, they did.
There were 6 people there. I got there. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're engineers. They're like landscape architects and that kind of thing.
Well, they were an assortment of they had different. 3 of them had different specialties, but you know, we could always invite them to a meeting. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Our next meeting is in December on the excuse me, I'm pretty sure the 18th.
16th, I think. 16th.
Where's my schedule?
Carmen and Cheryl, just so you know, the actual video of the meeting where they presented is on YouTube. You can actually see it, just like you can see our meetings, which are being taped right now.
Oh, good.
Okay. All right.
So you can actually take a look at it and, you know, see what they had to say and some of the questions. They took questions. They ran out of, I think we ran out of time. There was lots of questions. People were raising their hand to be heard. Like I raised my hand so Carmen could get in line before us to speak for White Pond. So yeah, but it's on there. But Carmen, can we go back just so because I know time is important for everybody.
I'll just say one thing. Beth is correct. It's December 16th. December 16th is the meeting. I was wrong. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, Beth, go back. Okay.
I just wanted to show the agenda so then when we can have open discussion for everything, because we have a lot of comments that people have been, you know, providing good comments too.
I do. I had some things that I think will be in the comments, so I was going to put them in, you know, now earlier to make sure that I got them in. There's been a lot about why is NRC not involved, and they get involved later. After there's the NOI has not been filed And once it's been submitted and placed on the agenda and received, then they come in and review the proposal for potential environmental impacts. So it's not like they're just in line waiting to come in, and it hasn't gotten to the stage where they come in yet. That was one thing. Another thing was about, just to let you know that I did do research on the Hill Hiker, and I have full information on it. And there's a member of the disability committee who is disabled. She's in a manual wheelchair. She was a member of the White Pine Associates for years, and is glad to see that the town is going to do something. But she informed me that not all ADA accesses work across the board for all handicapped people. The Disability Commission is having a site walk. I don't have the date for that, but they're having a meeting on December 10th where they will be discussing this plan.
Which committee?
The Disability Committee.
Okay.
They might be called commission. I'm sorry, Cheryl. You know.
Yeah, no, that I can look it up.
Yeah. So
Carmen, do we know if the site walk will be prior to the meeting or after?
I don't. I got the finally got the email of the chair, so I'll find out what the date of the site walk is. The date of their meeting, December 10, is when they're going to be discussing. So it must be that they do the site walk before it, probably.
Okay, thanks.
And she had no comment about the Hill Hiker, or you just mentioned it to her. Is that wrong?
The person that's on the commission, I actually, she mentioned it in her description of how that would be a good idea, she thought.
Yeah, it looked like a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
It actually looked pretty nice too.
Well, when I give you the details, you can see. So should I
went to the
details? Okay, should I give details of the Hill Hiker first? Or do you want?
Sure, we're on that now. Let's finish that up.
Okay. So I spoke to the sales person at Hill Hiker and the sales project manager at Marine Innovations, who does their fabrications in New England, and the operations manager at White Cliff Country Club, Bourne, Mass. I'm sorry, Cheryl, if I'm going too fast.
Yeah, I don't have any of those things, but so you spoke with various people who are associated with this.
3 people, yeah. Hill Hiker, Marine Innovations fabricates what Hill Hiker has put together. And the White Cliff Country Club put in a Hill Hiker in about 6 years ago. So the system runs on a track, 6 foot wide track that's fully cleared of growth and fully fenced on both sides for the length of the track. It has landing gates at each end, and all the preceding are 84 inches high. The gates stay locked until the cage is in position at either end. It can take 6 to 7 people. And there would be a machine building that is required at the top of where it starts on a concrete pad, which houses the machinery with enough square footage to walk around the machinery for access and maintenance. The whole system is fully locked at the end of operation. So you can't, somebody couldn't get in and play with it or something. So there's no concrete involved in regard to the hillside. The power goes down through the track, and there's a 5 horsepower motor at the top. There's no buried line. The person at the country club said 2 guys came in an afternoon and installed theirs. They are on a level ground that's 130 feet up from the Sagamore Beach. And they had an old tram there and replaced it with a Hill Hiker. Because they had the whole old tram, they did not need to have the fencing for some reason. Massachusetts is very strict about that. I'm sure that we would probably have to have the fencing for this. Now, the installation will either be designated by the state as a ski lift or an elevator. If it's an elevator designation, the state requires an operator.
Oh, geez.
And a state elevator license and a yearly state elevator inspection. If it's designated as a ski lift, no operator is required, but a yearly inspection is.
So ski lift or what?
Or an elevator.
Or elevator.
Yeah, the country club is an elevator.
So if it's an elevator, it has to have an operator? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, by state law. Massachusetts, it's all laid out in Massachusetts law. We might be a ski lift.
Well, it's not a ski lift because we're not using it for skiing.
No, it's the state will designate it one or the other, and it doesn't mean that it is a ski lift per se. It probably has to do maybe with the setting or how long it is or something like that.
Yeah,
but
sure it does. Yeah.
We don't have a control over it. It's whatever they say it is.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. They said it's so quiet that you can have a conversation next to it. And I said, well, we have a big echo here at this pond. And she said, well, we 130 feet up have an echo too, because we can hear conversations on the beach. And you can hear those conversations standing right next to the tram. And their hiker, she estimates in their May to September season, they use it 8,000 to 9,000 times. And then the maintenance consists of a crew, a couple people going out and twice a year and fully clearing all growth in the track along the track. And then you do have, no matter if you're an elevator or a ski lift, you have a yearly state inspection. And Marine Innovation that will build it does a yearly inspection. The whole cost of their job was $250,000. And they are ADA compliant. ADA compliant makes it a little more expensive.
That was 250K at that other spot, right? They already had the.
Yes, but they're 130 feet up.
But they already had part of the equipment, is that right?
They went on the same track where they had the other one, but they had to replace the track.
I see.
So they didn't have to do the fencing because they were probably grandfathered in. So this is probably more because you have to do the fencing.
We would have to do the fencing.
Does the wheelchair go on it?
Yes. Yes, it's ADA compliant. You can put a wheelchair on. You won't get 6 or 7 people with the wheelchair, but yes, it carries a wheelchair. And there was a very small picture of theirs. It just wouldn't have translated to put it on the screen. But the cage, which is 84 inches high, I guess, is right next to the machine building. And the machine building is just a little bit bigger. It's not a huge thing, you know, but somebody has to stand up fully in it.
Okay, but my understanding is that this walkway that we're thinking of we're thinking of the hill hiker as an alternative to the winding pathway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, it's an alternative.
But the winding pathway is not, that's just for access. It's not, the parking lot spots alone would be sufficient for ADA compliance, right? So
parking lot down below, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the parking lot down below is sufficient. And there is an ADA clause that if you're going to change the nature of a site, you don't have to put the parking in the same spot as where everybody else is accessing, meaning you can put the spots down below.
Well, you know, something, the person who who spoke to me and is in the manual wheelchair she said, in general, I'm in favor of universal design versus separate, but equal access options. There are situations, however, when that is just not practical, and the pond might be one of them. And that's when she said, I think the suggestion of a hill hiker is an excellent idea and should be explored further. And I believe she said that she would that might be hard for her. There's a site, there's a main site, ADA access right in the middle of town. And, you know, she swims White Pond twice a week, the perimeter, all through the season. So she's got, must have pretty good upper body strength. And she cannot manage that ADA access in the center of town to the bank.
Wow.
So and that's how she set an example that ADA doesn't cut across all handicapped abilities.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Isn't the Disability Commission going to be coming in and taking a look at this and offering advice?
Yes, yeah.
Shouldn't we really wait for them to chime in and then have a bigger discussion on what the options are?
I think sure. So. That's why, you know, like I plan to attend their meeting on the 10th and to go on the site walk too. And anybody else who'd like to go, you know, I'll find out when that site walk date is. Everybody on that commission is either handicapped or works in regard to handicapped or has children or experiences something in that. So yeah, that will. Yeah. I just wanted to put the information out so people know what it is. You know, it's sizable. It's clear cutting a 6-foot swath, you know, up the hill. And it's building a little building somewhere like at the top in the parking lot. It's not low key in looks, you know. Mm-hmm.
In the plans that I read as I read it, there wasn't any hill hiker in the original plans that were discussed when I attended that meeting. There was just a huge, you know, kind of very windy path going down. And the idea of a disabled person going down that path was really blended in with the idea of people with young children and strollers getting down there. So it was an all-encompassing anybody who might have an issue coming down the thing. And so it seems as if they would still need to continue to have a windy path plus a hill hiker. So if we could just work with the path instead of having the path and a hill hiker, unless the path isn't appropriate for people with disabilities, then it would be good to have them combined rather than a separate hill hiker. I don't know, that's just the way it seems to me.
Yeah, I mean,
the Disability, you know, Commission hasn't chimed in on it yet. They haven't done a site walk or review, and that will be important to what happens.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have heard a lot of.
My understanding is that windy path is more for the universal design, not for ADA compliance. That was my understanding from the meeting.
Yes. Well, I've heard a lot of ADA people. Andrea, you know, the one.
Yeah.
She says that's just not practical at all, and I've heard a lot of other people saying they would still need access at the bottom, regardless.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I mean, I can't, even with a hill hiker, no one's going to do that in the fall and the spring when there's not a lot of people around. They're going to they need access at the bottom, period.
Can I speak up? I don't know if I, yeah. I think the concept of universal design comes from a theory of creating a design that works for handicap that's integrated into a design that works for everyone. But I think it's driven from a sense of meeting the needs of the handicapped, but not in a separate way. I do think that there is an issue with strollers. I think there, you know, it's always been a struggle getting the strollers up and down the road, but people can do that if they're not, you know, typically, if they're not handicapped. I did it myself for many years. But I think that we need to kind of, you know, decide if the universal design is for the strollers, you know, let's say, just using the word stroller, you know, generally for people who it's hard to go up and down stairs. I mean, it's not necessarily meeting the needs of the handicapped, if that's, you know, and so we have to figure out who's the path for. That's what I'm trying to say. If it's not meeting the needs of the handicapped, then it still isn't universal design.
Well, can I just interject? Because we had, when was our last meeting, we came out with recommendations. And our recommendation at the last meeting, which you all voted on, was no switchbacks on the hillside for ADA. Keep the small amount of parking spots for ADA people at the bottom. and forget the rest. That was basically what we said. I can read the whole thing. But...
And they came back and said there's 3 places there, 2 for emergency and 1 for ADA. But where what I question is, I have not heard anybody in favor of the big pavilion at the bottom. And if that big pavilion wasn't there, could they make parking spaces there? But I don't know how the pavilion, so one thing about the drainage system is I could see kind of where it is on the plan, but I don't know if it's something that you can pave over or not pave over, or it could take the weight of a car or not take the weight of a car. It seems like that you should be able, if you didn't have that pavilion there might be room there that you could get parking spaces down there.
There's plenty of room, I think.
I walked the land and with the map and did some cursory measurements, so to speak. I definitely think there's land for a room for the pavilion and more parking. I don't question that. If you look at the land, the way it's designed, it's just one more spot. A car doesn't take up that much room.
I agree. Yeah.
Carmen?
I do.
The people who come with a couple of strollers or whatever, it's not every day that 50 people do it, but they do need access. There's no reason why they cannot use the hill hiker as well as a handicapped person.
Sure, it is. It's for everyone.
Yeah. So I don't think it precludes not having, it doesn't, you don't need the ramp with that to service the handicapped people or people who have juggling 2 kids and 2 strollers and that kind of thing.
I know. This is going to take more time, especially to see, what the Disability Commission says.
Yeah, would this have operating hours, or would it just be there for 24 hours a day to use?
Oh, I doubt they would let that be open for use when the area is beyond what their hours are.
Well, you already said that if it's elevators, we have to have an operator there, right? So it would have to be.
No.
Yeah.
That's true. If it's designated by the state as an elevator, you do have to have an operator times. But I'm sure you wouldn't leave it accessible.
You won't know. We don't know right now what it will be. Even if it was accepted, what it would be. But I think what I thought from our last meeting, we want to explore potential other opportunities or other ways to avoid, destroying the hill. The hill hiker is one option, and the other option is adding more car spaces at the bottom. And I think what we're saying is we're advocating for something, and one of the latter, to accomplish that.
The cars at the bottom. Right?
Something other than the big swaths cutting up the hill. I think that's what I'm hearing is the general consensus, right?
Yeah. No,
so
I think we're trying to eliminate that big windy path. Yeah.
Well, what about?
So I think that's just.
No, go on.
So I just wanted to put that in the minutes. That's our recommendation, to explore other options, and these are a couple. Thank you.
And what about the other path that's supposed to be? I'm not sure if they were going to take out the stairs and then make that other windy path.
Well, that's up for debate. Yeah. A lot of people want to keep the stairs. I mean, I'm hearing so many people saying they want to keep the stairs. Why are we taking them out? Yeah. They were just redone a few years ago by Dick.
But it does not seem like you need 2 winding paths and stairs. It just that one winding path and stairs could do it.
So right now the plan is for 2 winding paths and the stairs. I mean, that to me it still wasn't clear.
That's not clear. The stairs aren't clear if they're keeping them or not. That's not been clear to me.
That's what I'm saying. So
the question
it appears that there's 2 winding paths and a set of stairs.
And a set of stairs.
The one they have on the plan is a different set of stairs. But what I'm hearing from a lot of people is, why are we getting rid of the old stairs? People like them.
I could see maybe though with the town, they might put railing on it for liability.
That would be good.
Well, I think Beth expressly said that they weren't going to put railings up. That's my recollection at her last meeting.
That was on the past.
fewest and
Oh,
most.
that was on the path, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, the railings are just, well, the path that is not the ADA path, there's, you go so far and there's 3 steps. And they, according to somebody who looked it up, for the blind, you have to have railings there where the 3 steps are. That would be, that's like a state law. But it's true, I don't know if they plan to keep the stairs or not.
It looks like it looks like the stairs are there, and it intermixes with the windy path.
That's a different set of stairs.
Oh,
they're definitely planning on taking out the old stairs. Oh. But I've heard a lot of people saying they don't want to. I haven't heard anybody saying they want to do that.
The stroller. The biggest issue with getting up and down the hill are the stairs. So if there was if there was that trail, the woodland trail path, I think that would work for people. You know,
I agree.
You know, that would work. The other thing that Kate said to me today in an email when I asked a few questions was that they were going to make several more proposals. So
who is saying this? That
Kate,
you spoke with Kate today?
I didn't speak to her. I sent her an email. I asked her some questions, as I did with Delia, and just to understand the process a little bit better. And Kate said, I could quote it if I can pull my email up, and I'm not sure I can and stay in this Zoom. I've never tried that. But she specifically said there are going to be more renditions proposed at the December 16th meeting, because one of the questions I asked was, in the proposal to the CDC, it said they were going to present several different options, and what I had seen was only one. So, you know, could I see these other options? And she said that they would be presented at the December 16th meeting. And she's going to be including feedback from the community, you know, from the meeting they had in October, late October, the surveys, as well as, I believe, you know, feedback from other people like yourselves. So she did say that. So, you know, I only saw this one rendition, but it sounds, and she said, you know, this is not in stone. And the impression I got was that they're taking a step back from this design.
It's good to hear, because I think that'll calm some fears.
No,
I
hope the committee will, I'm sorry, I hope the committee will ultimately take a position, regardless of whether it's stairs or the hill hiker, that you want absolute minimal disruption to the hillside.
Right.
A separate path. I mean, these are all, to me, there should be 2 things happening on the hillside: access from the beach to the parking lot and parking lot to the beach for all users, including the handicap. So if the hill hiker works, great. And the steps are perfectly fine. A railing would be great. And you could even have a way station halfway up where somebody could sit on a bench and rest. But the rest of it it's expensive. I mean, that really doesn't get talked about. And to use community preservation funds for this is crazy. It doesn't meet, this project doesn't meet the criteria. So hopefully you'll just take a very, you know, clear, firm stand on it as a committee. When you have the information.
Why doesn't it meet the criteria? Because it's construction and.
No, I read the charter last night. It's based on preservation and something of, I don't think it has to be historical significance, but this is not a preservation. This is a creation of a park. And I don't think that complies. But that's up to the committee.
When I looked at this design, it was superimposed on a green map, like as if the little tiny windy road was just that little windy road, like the trees were cut like horizontally down onto this little road. It was very unrealistic in terms of the impact, in terms of rendition on the environment. Because when I went to the pond and looked at the environment and figured it's going to be 4 feet or 5, you know, 3 to 5 feet, and it's going to wind back and forth 6 times, the amount of land it took up was immense. And the amount of roots dug down would, I suggested to Kate today, I said, it looks to me like you would need to take out 3/4 of the trees on the hill.
Yeah,
I'm not an
true.
expert in this, but I just envisioned it. I built a couple of houses and I've done some land work, you know, kind of envisioning things in space. And I was trying to envision if you take tape and just tape this windy path and you tape the other paths, so much of the hillside would be dug up. Then, you know, you got to figure you're going to be at least 2 or 3 feet away from the trees. So even if the 3-foot windy road, that's the minimum size it can be, is 3 feet. You got to figure it's at least 6 feet winding back and forth 6.5 times. So one of the things I requested of Kate today and my follow-up email to her is that when they do a rendition, that they make it realistic, because the design that was presented, you know, was not realistic. And it's, the greenery aspects to it, because there's no way that the hill would maintain all that greenery. It would, I don't know, I'd have to study it more and put tape up, but to me, it looks like 2/3 of the hill could be cut down in terms of the trees.
Well,
yeah, I wonder if we could ask them, of course, you know, if they don't know the final plan, I don't want somebody to do a bunch of work before we have a plan. However, as you said, Catherine, it's hard to visualize. So it would be useful for them to actually mark out where they're proposing at some point. Now, maybe it's not now because they're going to drastically change the plan. But even before we can make
hard to do, I would be happy to do that with someone. All it takes is a measuring tape, an estimation of minimum 3 feet, and zigzag down half the hill 6 times. I mean, you just look at it and kind of, we could roughly do that.
But I think they would perceive that as not accurate unless they did it.
Right.
That's
yeah.
I think. So I think that we should, but I don't think it's unreasonable to say, before you make a decision, before you get full comments from us, we need to see what you're really proposing, because the rendition is not realistic. That's fine.
There was something sometime where Weston and Sampson was supposed to mark out. There was something I heard early on. Of course, they
need to mark the trees and mark the trees.
Yeah.
Mark the trees they will take out and mark the trees they might take out.
Yeah.
Because Kate said in the meeting that the trees down at the bottom, a lot of those trees would be gone. The big trees at the bottom. So
and why not mark out the paths? I mean, to really see it, because when I looked at this rendition, I was like, there's no way there's going to be all these trees. This is going to be a network of paths.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a park.
Anybody from the town, like employees of the town? Yes. No, this is only the committee and interested citizens.
Yeah, Carl Kusin recommended to me that we have those guys mark the trees that will get cut one color and the trees that might get cut another color, so we know what's going on. Because it's hard to judge right now.
Yeah, I was just saying, and take another color and put down the paths.
Good idea. Good idea.
They could spray paint it. I mean, you could spray paint the path and something. No, you could. I mean, I do that all the time.
Actually, you can, because I just bought paint like that for a project I was doing. I was actually putting in a sewer, and I spray painted on the ground, and you get a special paint that comes up. You know,
it's not harmful. That wears away. Yeah.
Yeah, it wears away. Right. Yeah.
The problem is if they're saying that they don't know what the plan is yet, we just have to evaluate that. I mean, because if they're going to market, if they're really still pushing this original plan, then ask them to do it is fine. If they're saying that they're really thinking of totally doing something different, we don't want to. I guess we don't want to ask the town to do it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I just want to say briefly one more time, I was just horrified because the rendition looked so different than reality. We just need to understand what makes sense here. And I spoke to an expert in ADA, and he said, so often people, as was stated before, they make a plan that they think is universal design, and it simply doesn't work. It's a great idea, but it's just not practical. And to me, this was all about that. This design is fundamentally flawed because it's not meeting the goals to which it was designed to meet. and it's ruining the environment, you know, from my perspective, making it into a park instead of preserving the natural environment.
Well, the disability, I would think the Disability Commission will have, you know, a very powerful say on the design, and, you know, they haven't addressed it yet.
And that's great.
I mean, any way you look at it, they will still need access at the bottom, because if you have a hill hiker and it's only operational certain hours, they need access to the bottom those other hours. They come, you know, they come and just want to look at the sunset or something.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I know people who would not be able to manage that. I've worked with people with disabilities, and, you know, a big hill like that would be daunting, and, you know, vertigo might be an issue with that, you know, elevator thing too. I do think we need to speak to people with disabilities and get their input, because they know better than anybody.
Okay, so should we, Carmen, what do you think? Do you think we'll just wait until we get more information with regard to this from the committee, and then
the commission? Yeah.
Yeah, the commission, yeah.
Yeah. And
then, you know, see what they propose, and then that will all get addressed at the next meeting, public meeting. Or we can actually, I mean, maybe they can give us some information before our next meeting.
Yeah, their meeting is before the forum, and their site visit will be for the forum.
So what's next?
Well, is that all the comments anybody has about, you know, the plans that we've had so far, that we've seen so far?
I just wanted to ask about water quality and sewers on the pond. I would think that the Natural Resource Commission would take the opportunity at this juncture to figure out where the phosphorus coming from, and maybe even consider donating or, you know, supporting, you know, people whose septics might be dumping into the pond to try to, you know, use a few $100,000 to do that. That would really be good use of CPC monies, protecting our pond with potential septic barrels.
You know, ESS did 2 years on this report that they did. They had to do an extra year because there was a drought, so they couldn't do some of the testing. And they did not rate where the septic systems are around the pond as bad.
No, Carmen, that is complete softery. Okay, I've worked in this field around the world. Anybody who knows will look at this and say, this is a joke. There's a reason why you can't have a septic within 100 feet of a pond anywhere in the world, because they pollute. Stinson Beach in California went through this exact same thing. Everybody was like, it was polluted. You know, this is the Pacific Ocean. People were suffering eye infections, just like here. And it was like, oh, it's the farmers, it's the highway. Stanford University spent $3 million drilling wells. 100% it was the septics. The septics were 900 feet away. Now here we have septics right on the pond. Like some of them are within 30 feet of the pond.
And how old are they? And that's the big question. How old are they? I've also studied, you know, septics and sewers, you know, as well. I agree with you. The age of the septic is very critical here.
Most of them are 60s. You know, the town has never inspected any of these septics on the north side of the pond. Because one time I was swimming, and I was swimming right along the bank. I ran into a hot water plume. So that was coming right out of somebody's house. So I was talking to someone from the health department. They're like, well, you know, we have never, we don't know what people have. We don't know if they have septics or pipes. We've never inspected these properties.
Well, they used to be barrels, as you know, and some of these are summer homes, because White Pond was built as a summer home community in the 1930s. So some of them, you know, could be close to 100 years old.
No, I can't speak.
You know what? Again, we can.
I can't speak for the north. I can't speak for the north side of the pond, but on the south side, the systems are either new or have been completely rebuilt and passed Title V and frequently pumped out. And people who have been measuring the pond for years are saying septic is not a primary problem for this pond.
Oh, no, that's Jim.
Excuse me, I'm still talking, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And one of the reasons is there was a groundwater study done many years ago to detect whether the plume from the old Sperry site was reaching here. The groundwater on the south side of the pond, it basically flows away from the pond, not into the pond. And there's a chart we've all seen.
Even on the bank, even on the banks.
No, at the groundwater level.
No, so I mean the septics on the south bank. How far back are the septics?
Yeah, I mean, like what's the south side? It's a similar question.
The newer ones have to be 100 feet away. Some that were retrofitted because, you know, a grandfather clause, they had to put in very expensive systems. Some of those are not 100 feet, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. One reason I think you're right is if I swim on that side of the pond, it's not that bad. It's the north side that's really bad.
Which side?
All right, guys, you know what? Here's the deal. We should talk to the health department. The woman who, Carmen, what's her name?
Karen?
Susan Rask?
Susan Rask, yeah.
Made a presentation, which was poorly attended, about septic systems around White Pond. And she was very clear about any phosphorus will eventually, because we have very sandy soils, will leach into the water. And she asked that everybody, you know, maintain them regularly. She said, but regardless, the phosphorus will eventually go through. There's nothing you can do about it. And the nitrogen, or maybe I'm going to, is that right? Or the nitrogen always goes through, phosphorus more slowly. I mean, we have notes on it, but, you know, the town can't go and say to people, you know, I mean, you know, let me inspect your septic system. I mean, that's
someone has to make a complaint. Someone has to make a complaint. And when I went to her, she was like, you want to complain? We'll go check it out. And I said, well, I don't really want to disrupt somebody's life like that. But she was very clear to me. She agreed it was 100% the septics. And, you know, they had a big plan to get everybody off septics in the 1970s because everybody knew it was the septics. And then it fell through because they thought it would cause too much development. And then now it's people are pointing fingers at the farmers. I don't know, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. It's not for tonight.
No, I mean, it's.
Could we get
what, she was very clear that the nitrogen always goes through the soil. There's nothing. I mean, I'm going to go back, look through the notes, and the phosphorus will too. I mean, whether it's farmers or septic systems, she was emphatically clear about it. There's nothing. It may go. One goes more slowly than the other. Some of it goes through. She knows her stuff like there's no tomorrow, and she's the town expert, and she's the person we should rely on. And if we can get her to talk about this, that's fine. But she's the town expert. She knows her stuff quite clearly. And you know, we should rely on her expertise.
I agree.
So can I? This is Beth. This is Beth. Could I make a move to invite her to our next meeting? It'd probably be very educational for all of us.
That's a great idea.
9 p.m.
Some of the studies were referring to our years old, and things change. You know, I've been told there's cesspools even here. So let's invite her, and we can ask.
You know, we did invite her. We put the word out. We said, come to this. I mean, she really gave a whole course on septic systems and the different kinds and everything, and nobody came.
6 people arrived. Yeah.
Well, we'll come. We'll come next time. If she comes, we'll come.
White Pond Advisory Committee will come if we invite her to our meeting.
That was almost all who came. We will invite her, but you know, when they come to our meeting, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to me because she loves giving her talk on septic systems too. It's something she really loves to do, and it was great. And these people have just worked a whole day, and now they've waited around instead of going home, and now they're at our meeting, and nobody shows up, and it really is infuriating to me when that happens. Delia came and did a whole presentation of all the planting, the fencing, everything down Sachem's End. She had the big charts up and everything, and absolutely no one attended. And we put that out because people were all up in arms about what was going to happen. It's very discouraging to, you know, have these people come and after a full day stay around working in their office till our meeting time.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I'll be glad to invite her.
Carmen, I understand. I'm just saying we've got a new board. We've got many new board members. We've got, even tonight, I'm counting right now on the Zoom that I can see 12 attendees, and that's great. But I really probably saw, I don't know, you may have gotten more personal emails. We've seen you know, probably 50 people commenting on, you know, the Dover Street. So yeah, I mean, people have lives and they can't always attend, but they're trying to get their voices heard. I just think it's educational for us because we're making some guesses right now. And if the septic studies were done a while ago, I think it's just good for us. And, you know, Beth is new, I'm new.
And the attendance is better because it's Zoom, because people don't have to go out to a meeting. And it's true. We Viter now probably would have a better attendance because of Zoom.
And the reality is we're sort of getting off topic of the project, which is fine. Mm-hmm. Because whether people have septic systems and whether we can get them to change or not isn't going to change what's going on for the beach, in my view.
It's true, Cheryl, but our mission is not just this.
Oh, no, I agree with you. No, I agree with you, but I think that's a separate, I just think for getting all this information down, I absolutely agree with you. I think she's phenomenal, and I think everybody within 2 miles should be listening to her at least. But I just think that we should stay on topic, and I do think that we should deal with the beach thing, and then if we want to add, you know, let's talk to Susan Rask about what other ways we can improve the quality of the water. I think that's great. I just think that we don't want to mix up too much. I mean, unless, you know, maybe she has information about the storm drainage water, which would be useful. I just think if we're going to talk about the beach stuff, we should talk about the beach stuff. That's all.
I thought this came from the point of the water, you know, the basin thing, and yeah, the water quality relative to the
that's fair.
Kind of like, is it the septic or is it the farm, you know, is rainwater good, you know, all those questions. And I think it does get back maybe to a study.
It does.
Would you want that in December? Our meeting is like 2 days after the public forum, where we might have more information about that to talk about that, maybe invite her in January or something.
I think December's good, early, as soon as possible.
Instead of being able to comment about what we heard at the forum before, when they say they're going to have different plans to show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, I get that her information is relevant, but I think you have to be thinking about water quality and having, you know,
yeah, maybe January is better. Yeah.
We could do, I can, yeah. Why don't we try January for Susan Rask? Because I really think we should leave the December meeting for the plans that we're going to see that are new.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I hope my information is accurate. I'm just reporting what you sent me.
Right. Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
No, sorry. Oh, no, she said, I thought she was the head of the neighborhood association.
Cheryl?
Cheryl was for 1 year. Last year.
Oh, maybe she was, yeah.
Somebody's got a lot of background noise going, if you can mute.
So I have a couple other really quick topics. Are we done with as far as we're going to go in regard to the White Pond Improvement Plan?
I guess I do have one other question. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Is just defining the purpose. You know, the underlying conceptual purpose of the 2 pavilions. I mean, you know, when I envisioned it, it's like, why would people want a pavilion in the parking lot? You know, it just, you know, if this is about the recreation department, you know, wanting to set up a camp or whatever it is, it would just be good to have transparency about the intention of and purpose and function that people are envisioning to, let's say, the dual, you know, pavilions, and also, you know, having used the pond for years, I can't imagine young families or any family would really want to go to the pond and then walk up the hill to have lunch and then go back to the pond. You know, I don't get it, you know? So it's like, I'm envisioning again, is that the campground? If it is for the kids for the camp, just say it. Maybe we can, you know, it just didn't seem to, you know, does purpose follow function here, you know, or are they just designing it to make a park and if you build it, they will come. You know, I guess I was just a bit lost because I don't know if that is communicated in the meeting on October 28th. I didn't go to the meeting. I just recently saw the video. I didn't have an hour and a half to watch it. But I guess that would be the only point, is just to define the purpose of the spaces being created. Function, purpose.
Okay.
And if I could just say something, sorry, I'd like to know what the purpose of the survey that they took of the town. With the idea of putting a playground there and the pavilions there and changing rooms there and showers. What was the intention of sending out that survey to the entire town if they weren't planning on listening to the feedback of the people that they asked for information? So that's one of the questions that I have for them. And I also want to know what their obligation is in keeping the intention of the gift. So in one of the many emails, somebody laid out, this was the intention of the gift to the town, is to keep it natural and to preserve it and keep it beautiful and natural. And what is their obligation to keep that covenant, or whatever it was, that they agreed to when they gave it as a gift.
I can speak to that. I talked to Carl Cusson just yesterday, and he said, there was a huge misinformation. There is no obligation from White Pond Association. That was 100% wrong. There is no obligation whatsoever. And it's a clean slate. It's a clean slate.
There was nothing secret either, which we've been, they say they can't say it's, they had to keep secret. I had a conversation with him too.
Yeah. Well, that's disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some implied thing that second pavilion was something that was required by some secret agreement. And I think that's what Carl shot down quite clearly, that there was no side agreement that couldn't be shared with the public. Yeah.
Well, can we see this agreement? Because if it shouldn't be secret, it is a public and should be a public document. Why
there is no agreement.
There's no agreement. There isn't one. I mean, there is. I mean, I did copy some of the deeds and stuff that are associated with it. It's interesting. They said it can be farmed as long as it doesn't affect the quality of the water. That was actually specifically put in there at some place. But there's nothing in the deeds that I read other than that, yeah, what the purpose was to keep it. They talk about the various purposes and preventing, this is the conservation restriction. But there's no secret agreements in there, no.
I thought there was some language, as I forget who was just mentioning, which I have copied from something, that did state to keep it in its natural environment as a historical place. I'm trying to look it up here.
Well, so here's what it says. The premises are conveyed. This is the deed of trust. The premises are conveyed to the grantee under the provisions of Article 49, which I don't know what they are, as amended, blah, 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 all the legalese, to be managed and controlled by the grantee in perpetuity as a parkland for the promotion of recreational uses and recreational uses and natural resource purposes, such as swimming and beach activities, boating, fishing, walking, hiking, photography, and other outdoor activities, blah, 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 for the protection of the natural, scenic, historic, aesthetic qualities of White Pond environment, the enjoyment and utilization of the water, air, and other natural resources of the premises, and for protection of the watershed.
So you did say part of what I thought this fell under in terms of the natural. When you go back to that, you were reading 2 sentences before the end.
So that's in there, but it also says it's for recreational uses. You see that it's pretty broad.
It is, but it depends on what the word natural means or historic means.
No, I mean I think that's absolutely fair. I'm just saying that it's what's natural for one person. Someone will say, but we need to do this because it also says for recreation. I mean, that would be the argument someone would make, right?
Well, it is, but there's 2 sides to the argument. I mean,
I absolutely agree. I'm just saying that this is not a slam dunk. Is my only point.
Sure. The competing interest. Is grass natural? Yeah. It's a good question to that. Is grass natural, or is digging up the lady slippers, preservation?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the words in here can absolutely be used as a good argument. I'm just saying it's not.
Yeah, I mean, this is Beth. I agree with both you and Cheryl and Catherine on this. And I think the other key word, and I looked up some of those deeds. There's a lot, and we can probably post them. But the word natural and historic to me means the way it's been, right? Historic means how it has been, and that's important in the deed, I think.
Well, if you look at Walden, they would never do this to Walden, and I think there is a precedent.
Exactly, and that's what I've been saying all along, yeah. Catherine. Right. Historic means leaving it the nature, like Carmen has quoted many times. The jewel, it's the jewel. So all these improvements, although they might be nice, let's try to keep to the historic and let's go that way. Because I always use that analogy, like our sister pond, Walden. Which was, back in 1998, 99, people were fighting very dearly to keep it in its historic and natural way, if you guys all remember.
And you can recreate in a natural environment that still has those historic qualities. You don't need, you can do all these things because people for hundreds of years have been recreating there. We're talking about upgrading the toilets, making it more ADA accessible because it doesn't comply at all with those, terrible spots that are on bumpy ground with no easy way to walk over to the pond, get over to the pond. But yeah, you can, still provide all those recreational promises made while keeping it natural. So I don't think they should compete, but they can compete.
I think, Beth, to your point, I think that our strongest suit all the time in making our arguments is let's look at Walden. Do we want to? I think that's our strongest hand.
I agree.
Yep, that keep saying it, and we can go back to some of the things that they were facing, and they were successful because of public opinion and the Walden Woods project. So, I mean, our voice.
If you go back. If you go back far enough with Walden, we are moving in an exact opposite direction. Used to be a trailer park across the street, and next to the dump, which was active, there was a large kind of restaurant type of a building on that side of the street. There was a big pavilion down by the water, and it was just wide open. And gradually the state restored it back to where it is now. So we, in essence, are going backwards if we do all of the stuff that's in these plans.
But I think there's
we don't really know what's in the plans yet, though. So wouldn't it be appropriate to table the conversation until we see what's being presented?
Well, they did present something as if it was the plan that was sort of selected. I could be wrong in this because I'm late to the game a bit, but that I think that they are taking a step back, possibly because of the feedback. I mean, they, I don't know, I'm not sure on this, but they're certainly getting feedback. And, a second point relative to what everyone said is historically, the two ponds have been known as sister ponds. So there is another historical element there. If you're keeping them both historic, they should sort of look like each other, especially since they're sisters. Meaning there's a qualitative look to Walden that we would want to maintain to White's Pond as sister ponds with the common history.
And can I ask just also, what is their ultimate goal in committing hundreds of thousands of dollars to this project?
Millions.
Money. Millions. So they want to make money with the passes that they're going to sell? So what kind of money are they making on this project?
There's a limit to the passes. They've always said that they weren't, whatever number they came to, they stayed at the limit of White Pond Associates, I believe, at the beginning. And it's predicated on the parking spaces available. So they weren't looking to expand the last they ever mentioned about the passes.
How are they going to make this money back? Why do they want to invest all of this money into this project?
Well, I'm going to put on my cynical hat and just say maybe they could do a day camp. I mean, the recreation department runs a lot of day camps in parks. And, you know, I think
but that, Catherine, that is speculation. That is pure
speculation. I completely agree. But that's why I said wearing my cynical hat. It's total speculation. But I guess the question should be asked. And the reason why the speculation came up is because when I looked at it, I was like, who does this serve? What are they going to do with it? How are they going to make money? And that's what came up in my head. And I absolutely acknowledge total speculation, but it's just to potentially discuss.
Now, wait a minute. Chris Whelan wanted for ages for the town to have a beach. Okay. And they got this beach. And that was just, they got the prize, and it was donated to them. And I've never heard anything but that they want to have a beach. Now, I did go to the recreation meeting and I did hear them talk about all the different fields in the town. And they will do everything, with lighting and everything and markings too, new scoreboards and everything to make them as useful as possible. I don't get the feeling of that with here. They want to make it accessible, but it's the beach.
Well, I was just trying to respond to the other person's question. I think, it is gross speculation, but, we just need to be, cognizant, I guess, of
why does the town want to have a beach? They can swim in Walden. They have this beach, but why do they want to overdevelop it? That's my question. Why overdevelop this little precious parcel of land that is essentially, from my point of view, because I live right on it, a glorified swimming pool, in the summer. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. To me, it's kind of messy and and not natural in any way, and pretty overpopulated. And if they want to overdevelop it to get more people to come to the beach, is that their intention? Do they want more people to come, sell more passes to the beach? Is that the idea of this?
Well, that's what
they've been very adamant at every meeting that I've attended for them for times, is that that's not their intention. Now, that doesn't mean that maybe somebody else isn't intending that, but at every meeting there have been quiet remarks about other things. They've been always have stated that they have no intention of having any more visitors than currently apply. And that's something they've been clear about. Some of the other stuff they haven't been clear about, but that they've been very clear about.
Okay, then why put
all doesn't mean that they don't have something else in the background. I'm not saying that, but they have been very clear that they have no intention of expanding the number of people attending the beach.
There's many times that the beach is pretty empty during the day. It's like busy in the morning when they have the swim lessons, and busy in the evening. In the day, it's pretty low attendance generally. I think we just like there's no mandate to what it can be. I'm just saying, if it looks like a camp, we just need to be aware it could become a camp. It may not ever become a camp, but 30 years, 40 years, whatever. I don't like putting it out, but it was a thought I had. And I don't want to keep the thought just to myself and worry about it on my own.
Okay, I guess I still don't understand the ultimate, reasoning behind it. I guess that's it. Even if you say there's I'm not even going down the camp route, but if it's a camp, why? So they can make money. Is that it? Is the ultimate goal to make money on this parcel of land? I don't know.
This parcel is for Concord mainly. They have the full season passes. They have a small bit, they say, for people who have been in White Pine Associates for a long time. And they have a small bit for people who are non-resident, small number, I'm sorry, of season passes. Day passes are only for Concord residents. You can't get a day pass if you're not a Concord resident. So they want this to be as fully accessible to Concordians as they have their own beach. They don't have to go to Walden. They don't have to maybe, wait because Walden shut down because of the traffic. They have a resource that Concord can use as a beach. They plan to try making a beach at Giraud too. It's going to take them longer. They're going to have to do a lot of money to dredge it out to get to that stage. It's not going to be the first stage. It's going to be probably the third stage down the line. But they're thinking of these as resources for Concord, as making, Concord a really great place to be. Look at this. You've got this wonderful beach here if you move here, and you're going to have a park at Giraud. You've got the bike trail.
Well, moving away from
making the town, it's making
yeah,
it
and moving
better
away,
for the residents.
Moving away from my worry, then we could just say if every, you know, given the many points that people have made, you know, cutting back on the design, then, you know, no matter what they do with it, the design is fitting with more the natural setting and environment, and it doesn't look like a campy park beach. It looks like a natural, you know, recreation spot, more similar to Walden. So I guess that sort of satisfies my worry from another angle.
Also, this is Beth. Carmen, I just want to, because I want the minutes to be correct. If you look at the website for White Pond and the beach, it actually has the summer pass prices for residents and non-residents. So I want to make sure, because I'm not sure if the statement you said it's only for Concord, it may or may not be correct, because there's clearly residents and non-residents.
That's what I was told 2 days ago when I asked Ryan Kane at Recreation. I said, are there day passes for non-residents? And he said no.
So it's on the website. I'm looking at it right now. And it
for season passes, yes, yeah. Not day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just telling you that it's not, we have to be careful when we say this is only for our Concord residents in general.
No, but that's what
just want to clarify.
They always wanted to say, you know, because the people who had been a long time with White Pond Associates, they didn't want them kicked out. You know, some people, they've been there for a couple of generations. So they saved some for them. And then there's only very few for season passes for non-residents, but day passes are only residents.
There's a requirement. If you want state funding, you have to have a percentage of the people attending it from other towns. If you want state funding, and so it's a very specific number, and they went with a specific number, and that's true for all the ponds everywhere that are town ponds.
Yeah, there's one issue, and I think a lot of people have fear about this. Okay, when the ponds open in the middle of the summer, I don't know, what is it, 8 weeks or 10 weeks? Sure, they can control that. But in the fall and the spring, early summer, late summer, anybody can come from anywhere. And people come from everywhere, as we've all seen.
And they've done that forever, probably, right?
Right.
They talked about, you know, they were making, I think this year they're making a long season to take in some of what they call the shoulder time. It would be part of the season.
It's mostly fishermen, I think, other than September and June. I don't see many people there in May, but you know, they do come, you know, in a hot day in April and May.
I don't find off season as a problem. You know, I enjoy the craziness of the summer. It's fine. It's a season. And my, you know, my feeling about it is that that's nice. That's a season and then it goes away. But now they're starting to develop it as a full year thing. And that was part of the, you know, of the survey that they took, was about developing it as a full year thing. And it really disrupts the birds that are there and the animals that are there. It's very unnatural, you know, when all the people are there, and that's okay for a season. But if they're going to make it, you know, wider and broader, then it's going to just be, you really disrupt the natural environment there. And that's, you know, ultimately, when we give them our recommendations, I would like to say preserve the natural environment as much as possible, have it be a place of joy and happiness for people to visit, but keep it clean and safe and natural, you know, and that would be my request.
Again, what is the point of all those picnic tables? What do people really think people are gonna walk up the hill?
Weston and Sampson put those in to make a good show, because they thought people would like it.
Another point I thought is if we wanted, at some point, you know, because I'm trying to figure out how we could have voice, we could survey our own neighborhood and ask the questions we would want to ask as well, possibly when they're, you know, considering this design or that design, because that's an interesting.
Catherine, excuse me, let me interrupt you. One thing about that is we have been perceived sometimes as a little enclave, a privileged little enclave that doesn't let people in to the area. Cheryl and I were at a table at the Environmental Day or something, and we had a table there for our committee where we had history and posters and pictures. And I think about the first 6 people that came up, you know, they had very unfavorable pictures, ideas of us, of the people that lived in this area. We kept them out of the pond. We made it so that they couldn't swim at the pond because, and they saw us as this enclave. And I don't think it's, I think it has a lot of people that think that. So I don't want a survey taken in the neighborhood about this. I think it's very good for the town to do the survey.
Yeah, then maybe this isn't a good idea. You just got to throw our ideas out and see what makes sense. It's just an idea I had. But were they talking about the Sachem area, or were they talking about, you know, the White Pond beach?
They were talking about the people who live around White Pond. They blamed us for the reason that they couldn't access the pond from just anywhere. I think we tried to tell them that, you know, there's state laws and, you know, town laws about it, but there is a conception that this is a privileged little enclave that wants to keep people out of the pond. And I don't think that's true of us. It's just the laws and things that are around here.
I had friends who, before I moved here, talked about wanting to swim at White Pond in some capacity at Sachem, and they said people were very rude and yelled at them and were mean to them and said, you're not allowed to be here, you know, stuff like that. And so this was even before I moved here. You know, I've heard a reputation of people being kind of ornery, you know, in the area. And I don't
well, there is something that, you know, people in front of people's houses where you live, your land goes so far, and then there is a high water mark, and people are allowed to walk on the shore, and fishermen are allowed to stand in front of your property and fish. People are not allowed to be in front of your property and put a towel out and go swim in the water. No, that's not allowed.
No, that's not what they were doing. They were probably at Sachem. That's what I'm imagining. You know, and I know that people do, you know, because there's supposedly no swimming at Sachem permitted. You know, I think that that's how they got to the beach, and they were treated kind of rudely, you know, sort of about it. And I think that if there's truly no swimming permitted there for the water, it has nothing to do with the people who live around the pond, then that needs to be clearly what's the word I want? We need to make sure the rules are followed, and the rangers have to do that. That's why I think as a natural environment, I really, really want them to have rangers, you know, taking care of this kind of stuff.
They are going to have rangers. It was a screw up this year. It wasn't meant that we were not to have rangers. It was just a screw up.
Kate did not guarantee that in that last meeting that I listened to. We hope to have rangers. We can't promise we're going to have rangers, but we hope to have rangers. That's a direct quote from her. And that was really concerning for me. It's like, you need to have rangers here.
Okay, well, I'm having a phone conversation with Delia on December 1st, and I will definitely bring that up and get a square answer from her.
That'd be great.
But if Delia, I mean, is there something that the town could actually do in writing to kind of make a promise about that? I don't know. I mean, like willy-nilly, if Delia leaves or things change or.
No. Come on.
They have a clear intention. They have a clear intention to have rangers. They have been very adamant about it. This was a one-year thing. They have a clear intention. You can't guarantee they're going to be able to find somebody, hire somebody that wants to do it. They have a clear intention that they have said over and over that they will hire rangers. Again, we don't know how many hours, but they've stated that pretty clearly.
It's in the budget. I think that the other thing we heard one of our last meetings is there was a commitment to put new signage up. That's what I heard. And some of that signage might be helpful because, you know, about the, you know, not going swimming, no dogs in the water, because it's not clear now. And if there's a fine assessed. So hopefully those things, I think Delia said would happen next year. But Carmen, maybe for that meeting, I didn't know you had a meeting with Delia. Maybe you could extend it to the rest of our committee and we can also attend and listen in. That would be great.
It's actually a phone call. It's not a meeting. It's a phone call. And it was about another topic that our committee had brought up. And it's just
we can do a Zoom call, can't we?
I don't, you know, that'd be up to her because she was, I was just thinking we were going to go back and forth.
We can talk about that.
Okay. Can I add one more before we end the meeting tonight, can I add one more item for an agenda for next time or even tonight, just to put in the minutes that I'd like to discuss? Is that okay?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry.
Today, when I walked around the cove, and you guys probably see this all the time, but I saw an excessive amount of filament, fisherman line filament. And so, you know, it's just obviously really bad for any wildlife and the environment in general. And I was wondering, I don't know if we have, being new to this committee, if we have a budget or if the town does, but is it possible that we can get some of those filament, they're almost like white tubes, and it's for the fisher people to put extra line so it doesn't get snagged up and cause problems into it. It's like almost like a little tiny white tube that you can see it on the ocean just for fishing line. I think it would be very beneficial around the beach and maybe even the cove, because there's so many fishermen there, or fisher people.
I'm sorry, Beth.
Is that clear what I'm asking?
Is that a receptacle for lost line, or what? I just
yeah, for
sorry, and it either.
Yeah, so it's there. I can actually send you like a link to it.
Okay.
It's actually, it looks like almost like a septic tube, like a white. They're usually white. They stick out. You put them into the ground, and then you can't put garbage in there or cigarette butts. It's clearly just for filament for fishing lines, so it doesn't get back into the environment or back into the turtles and drown them, etc. Because I'm seeing a bunch of stuff like that on the shore today, a ton that I picked up. It's just dangerous environmentally.
A lot of neighbors have said that to me. A lot of neighbors have made
that. Yeah, it's most I've ever seen. I'm not sure why. So I just think that that's just environmentally sound practice to do that. So
that's a great idea.
You can put that.
Yep.
Thank you. And I can get some specs and send it, but I don't know if we have budgets for that, or I don't know how that is handled in this town, but that's all.
Okay. Thanks. I think that would be something, Delia.
That's what I was saying. Maybe if you can get the specs to Carmen before she has her conversation, or when you guys both have a conversation with her, it would be great to present her with that, because I bet she'd be very open to that.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll definitely send that to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I just mention a quick thing? We are going to have an email, a WPAC email that's going to be on the website. There's a lot of people that want to get in touch with us. It's hard to do. I'm always trying to find emails for different chairs. So it's up to the chair to do that. And I would like to propose that we do that. And we have a neighbor who will set up the email for us. I learned from Jeremy that it's fine to do. It makes us more easy to get in touch with. Wondered what the committee thought.
I move that if the town, Jeremy meaning the town person, whatever, who you refer
Yeah, Jeremy Romanuel. I'm not sure exactly. He does everything. He's kind of got.
But I mean, but he says it's fine for us to do that.
Yeah.
I move that we set up a WPA email so that all email that is addressed to the committee goes there. And yes, I move that we do that.
Okay.
Do we need a second?
I second that. I second, or we can all vote.
Okay, thank you.
But we need to vote.
All in favor?
Oh.
Aye.
Yep.
Okay, we've got 3 ayes. Great.
Aye.
Voted to approve. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Okay. There's another one, to ask if our starting time at 7:30 is okay to people. We could start at 7. There's nothing carved in stone about our starting time. That's just what it was when I was on the committee. So are people satisfied with 7:30, or would they like to change to another time?
7 would be good. Yeah, a little earlier, like 7.
7 would be good for me.
That's what
7's good.
Same for me.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion to change our time?
But I don't think we need to do the motion to save the time.
No.
If we all agree that 7's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't even know if we needed one for the email. I'm sorry, but that one sounded like, because that might take somebody's efforts and all that.
Actually,
we all agree to meet whenever we want to.
Yeah, the thing about the phone call with Delia, it's about a subcommittee. So that's why she said, she just, you know, I thought we would go back and forth and I would say something to you. And so she just said, well, she would want to start it with a phone call with me and explain. You will hear anything that's on the phone call, I guarantee you. And then there's another issue I have. What about a co-chair for our committee? Bruce Freeman Rail Trail just went to co-chairs, and I asked both of them, you know, so how is it? And they say, well, you know, it's great. We divide the work. We can spell each other if someone can't make the meeting, if somebody can't make the chair breakfast. So I wondered what people thought of that.
Sounds great. What did
you say after that? The thing is, you know, it can be a lot of, there's like right now, I'm liaison to Natural Resource, Recreation, Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, and the Select Board if anything's appropriate. Now, the NRC, I'm sorry, Natural Resource and the Recreation, it's not always going to be appropriate. I look if there's anything that would affect White Pond, and the same thing with the Select Board meeting, anything that might affect. The Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, yeah, always I'll go to, because that's, especially what they're working on now, it affects to.
But you don't have to be a chair to go up to be a liaison.
No,
so
no,
you can have other people take those jobs too, right?
Yeah.
But you want more than that. You want somebody to help organize, and yeah, I think that's fair. You've been chair for a long time. So why don't we, I'm just proposing that we sit and think about that.
You can table it to the next time.
Table it to the next time, but now you've proposed that, you're saying there's a lot of stuff happening, and right, it's time to sort of divvy up more of the work.
And another thing that was proposed a while ago, and it kind of died, and maybe it's not necessary because they're having the public hearings, was to put an article in the Concord Journal that just explained that there will be changes at White Pond, and factual explanation, not any theories or anything, to make sure that enough people know. I don't even know, with, you know, public forums, people still might not know, you know, get the word out. So I was just wondering if that was thought still to be a good idea, or if we've moved past that.
I think that would be a great idea personally.
And have it put both in the print and online. And I remember Kate said they were going, the journal was going to do an article on it, and then they didn't. But that would just inform people, I think, that might not look to be informed about it.
Journal just might need a reminder. You know, they probably would take it up. You know, there's lots been happening with COVID and all kinds of other things. They just might have forgotten.
Would somebody like to nudge him?
I guess for me, the idea is, what's the intention of the article? You know, from my point of view, it would be try to get people to understand that we want to preserve this space and its natural beauty, and not, you know, tear down a lot of trees. If the town does it, they might write an article promoting it, promoting the development. Whereas my intention would be to want to say, let's take a really good look at this and make sure we preserve this space.
I would want it.
And not go to what, you know, and go the way of Walden, which is what Jim was saying. Not, you know, rather than overdeveloping it, preserving it. Yeah. Making it accessible to people who need access.
I would want it to be just really a factual, here's what it is. But we can't actually do it now because we don't know what it is yet, since they say they're going to show several versions. There could just be some kind of simple announcement that there'll be some changes on it. But I think because of the next public forum, this would probably be better after, you know.
Carmen, if I can offer, this is Jane. I've been saying, and my suggestion might be that rather than take it on yourselves to deliver the facts of what's clearly an evolving planning process, or spark a debate over a motive, that maybe you invite the Concord Journal reporter to the next public forum.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. Okay, we will. We will. Does anyone know? I don't know any reporters at the Journal. Does anyone know? Have anyone in mind, or know of anyone? Read? Do they read?
If you contact the editor, they would make a decision about it. I don't know who the editor is now.
No, there used to be someone I thought that did write about White Pond now and then, but I don't remember the name.
There's been a lot of changes there. So.
Yeah,
I think there's only one reporter that covers Concord and Lincoln, and his name is not in the tip of my tongue, but went online, it would be pretty obvious.
Okay, that's good, Jane. We will. Well, I'll invite them to come and do an article. And that's all I had of the things at the end. Unless anyone wants to volunteer to be a liaison. Like I say, if you volunteer to be a liaison for Natural Resource Commission, there's not that many times that you need to attend. You would get sent the agenda, and you just look at the agenda and see if there's anything appropriate.
I might also suggest someone be a liaison to the Recreation Commission.
Well, I'm that too now.
Well, but you were saying you don't want to be a liaison to all these, right? Isn't that your?
No, I'm not saying that. The thing is, when you are liaison, when you attend these committees, you just learn a lot about the town. You learn a lot about what's going on, and it's engaging for this committee for different people to have that experience.
So again, why don't we let everybody think about it, and they can send you, we can, I mean, why don't we let people think about whether they would want to do something like this, and then they can put their names in, because I'm sure we're all chomping at the bit to do all this. No, I'm kidding. No, I just think if people can take a moment and think about it rather than making a decision right on the fly right now. But you're inviting us to be a liaison for the NRC, and that's the only one you want?
No, I mean, any of them really.
Except for the Bruce Freeman show.
Yeah, I'll keep on that one.
Okay.
For a while.
So the NRC, the rec department, and what's the other one?
Well, the select board. You can see on their agenda if there's something
okay.
in regard to White Pond. But it really is, it's a good experience to see the workings of the town and how these other committees are, and you do learn a lot. There's also the chair breakfast. I have had appointments a number of times and missed them, and that is that's a Wednesday morning. It's usually they keep to an hour. It starts now because of Zoom, it starts at 9 a.m. It used to be 7:30, was it, Jane?
Yes, 7:30 at the townhouse.
Zoom, they're starting it later, and that's a little harder for people, I realize, to do. But everybody who's there for the different committees speaks about what's happening with them. And I have made contacts because there's things that have been pertinent to our committee. It's very interesting, but I know that 9 o'clock time now does make it not so available to people. And I'm happy to do that. I just feel badly when I have to miss it because of appointment, and I wish somebody else could be available to fill in. Just leave it out there, okay? Just leave it out there. So does anybody have anything else that they want to bring out?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Well, I wanted to say I have one more thing that we should probably just leave out there. It's just a question that, I don't need an answer to, but you know, as we move forward, there's the, you know, White Pond Advisory Committee, and then there's the White Pond Neighborhood, and some of us, you know, joining, you know, your committee in terms of listening and participating, certainly like I have. But the question I have is, what might be the best way for our neighborhood as a larger neighborhood, you know, participate in feedback? Because I think that it might make sense to have some kind of forum for that. You know, I don't know, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the White Pond Advisory Committee is that forum. I just don't know. It is just a simple question.
Well, when you talk about the neighborhood, do you mean the Dover Pond property owners side, or?
Well, I mean, I think that body probably has to make their own decision, because I'm not even sure, you know, that they would organize. I think that they don't want to overall, you know, associate with a separate kind of, you know, voice in all of this, just to preserve their relationship with the town. But I think what I mean is just people in this neighborhood. Should there be, you know, a way to have voice around this process, or do you need support from people who are not the White Pond Advisory Committee, or
but
you know,
they could come to the meetings. The meetings are always open, and the agenda goes out to the Dover property owners. Actually, what's kind of a blank space is the other side of the pond. I wish we tried earlier to try to get interest up. I think we did a mailing, and we got really absolutely no response.
I know, that's sad to hear. You, especially your story before about, you know, people in town, you know, preparing all these presentations and no one showing up. I guess like the neighborhood did put together a petition, you know, and I don't know where that's going or how many people signed it exactly, but I just wasn't sure if as this process unfolds, if it would make sense to have a separate formal, you know, voice that represents the White Pond neighborhood that might be different than the Dover Property Owners Association. It's just an idea that it's not really well formed.
Catherine or Carmen, can I just offer that I think that the town was helped form the White Pond Advisory Committee as the voice of the White Pond area, just like there's the West Concord Advisory Committee.
Okay, then that probably is my question then.
Yeah.
So I have one little comment, if I may. Earlier, I heard somebody say that they didn't think phosphorus was a component of rainwater, and that was sort of against my understanding. So I did a little bit of research, and I came up with a National Science Foundation that says, blame it on the rain, study ties phosphorus loading in lakes to extreme precipitation events. So I also understand that Jane was thinking of having a collection of relevant articles. Does anybody know where that process is in terms of contributing articles so that we have a uniform source of information and we can eliminate some of the misunderstanding that many people seem to have?
David, this is Jane Hotchkiss. I'm the select board liaison. I don't know that I said I was going to collect information.
Was it Prentice?
Is there another person that was speaking?
Oh yeah, there's a Jane Prentice. I'm sorry. I should use full names.
I apologize. I shouldn't.
Well, that's okay. No, my bad too. So I was not specific. So no, it was Jane Prentice. I'm sorry, Jane. Ms. Hotchkiss.
It's fine. I was worried I suddenly had another job.
Right. Or you said something you forgot you said, you know, that's even, you know, but enough frivolity. Let's adjourn the meeting.
David, could you just, so articles about, just for the minutes, with articles relating to what? I'm sorry.
To phosphorus in rainwater. Because my other recollection is back when the original runoff control project was going in with Bill Walker, he had identified the paved county road as a unnecessary source of nutrients flowing into the pond. And based on that information, the White Pond Advisory Committee moved to create the ability to divert that water and have it percolate through the soil such that some of that phosphorus would be bound up.
I thought the phosphorus was from fertilizer.
It's from a lot of sources.
Yeah, well, one source, obviously.
Yeah, but also it's just in the rainwater itself, because, you know, just as, you know, the soil from Africa ends up fertilizing the Amazon, there is atmospheric transport of phosphorus containing dust. So it's, that's the planet we live on, folks.
Well, I guess, you know, if it's 80% farmland right next to the pond versus, you know, I guess it's irrelevant. But yeah, you know, it's a small world.
Right. I mean, it's going to, you know, vary with depending on what the upwind sources are, but the transport can be significant. So, but you know, I also rely on Bill Walker saying that, you know, one of the worst contributors, in addition to you know, uncontrolled erosion, is in fact the rainwater, you know, washing over the leaves and coming down the paved county road and going into the pond. So that was the focus of our efforts in, I guess, 1995 to address that issue way back when.
Well, and again, the NRC and ESS together created a brochure for homeowners in the area, requesting that homeowners take care of their septic systems, limit or not even do any fertilization. And if you were going to fertilize in the fall. I mean, they recognize that even fertilizing organic or inorganic, according to Susan Rask, you know, all of that's going to filter eventually into the water, into the pond. I mean, she was very clear about that. So, I mean, even 3 years ago when ESS or whenever they put that together with the NRC said, every homeowner, you know, the less fertilization, the more you clean your septic system, all of that stuff is beneficial to the water. It's, you know, so I mean, like, again, there are many sources of phosphorus going into the water and nitrogen. So I think you're right. So I just don't know. So who is going to get all these articles? So I'm just confused. What articles just relating to phosphorus and to the water quality? Is that what we're looking for?
Well, no, I mean, I have an article and I guess I should talk to Jane Prentice, because she had kind of, I believe, floated the idea that there would be a repository of relevant reference articles.
Okay, gotcha. But I do think that the more people who show up to any meeting showing that there is, whether you present or not, just to show up in force, meaning that you care about a particular event that's taking place, is always good. To the extent that we meaning the committee, might be the voice of the homeowners, but that does not mean that showing up at a, you know, at a hearing on the matter isn't important, in my view.
That makes sense.
No, I don't think so. Let me just mute.
Oh, okay. Is there anything else that somebody wants to add?
You ready for a motion?
Okay.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
A second? Does somebody second?
Second.
Aye.
Third.
Excellent.
Okay.
9:27.
Okay, so next time we'll meet at 7 o'clock in December. We'll change our time.
Thank you so much, Carmen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
And Jeff. Okay, bye-bye.